There is a pattern happening in your life right now. And if you are a Leo, this video is going to help you see it clearly for the very first time, name it, understand it, and finally break free from it before it pulls you under again. You have been here before. Maybe not in the exact same situation, but in the same feeling. That quiet unease that settles into your chest when things start going sideways. That familiar weight that tells you somewhere deep down that something is repeating. You brush it off. You tell yourself it is different this time. You convince yourself that the circumstances changed, that the people changed, that you changed. And maybe some of that is true. But there is a thread running through all of it. A thread you keep following back to the same place, the same pain, the same disappointment. Leo, you are not weak for being in this cycle. You are not broken. But you are being called right now, called to look at this honestly, called to stop pretending you do not see it. Because the truth is, part of you already knows. Part of you felt it the moment you clicked on this video. And that part of you is wise. That part of you brought you here for a reason. By the end of this video, you are going to have 11 clear signs to look at, 11 signals that the pattern is happening again. And more than that, you are going to understand what it means for your life and what it is asking of you. Stay with me. Every single sign matters. Sign 1. The first sign that the pattern is happening again is that you start feeling restless without knowing exactly why. It is not a dramatic feeling. It does not announce itself loudly. It does not come with a clear reason or a definite cause. It is subtle, almost like background noise that you cannot quite locate. You go about your day, you do your tasks, you talk to people, you smile when you are supposed to smile, and yet underneath all of it, there is a low hum of discomfort that will not go away no matter what you do to distract yourself. For a Leo, this restlessness is deeply significant. You are a sign built for fire, for passion, for engagement with life. When you are truly aligned, when things are moving the way they should, you feel it. You feel lit up. You feel connected to what you are doing. You feel a sense of purpose that keeps you moving forward even on hard days. So when that energy goes quiet, when that fire dims down to barely a flicker, your whole system knows something is wrong. The problem is that most of the time you do not stop to listen to it. Instead, you do what many strong people do. You push harder. You add more to your schedule. You look for a new project, a new goal, a new distraction that might reignite that spark. And sometimes that works for a little while. But this restlessness, the kind that comes when the pattern is cycling back around, it does not respond to distraction. It waits. It sits there patiently beneath the surface of everything you pile on top of it, and it waits until you are still enough to feel it fully. Think back to the last time you felt this way. Really think about it. What came after that restlessness? Did you find yourself pulled into a situation that felt familiar? Did you make a choice that, looking back, you had made before in slightly different clothing? There is a very strong chance that the answer is yes. Because for Leo, this quiet restlessness is often the very first whisper of the cycle beginning again. The body knowing before the mind is willing to admit it. The restlessness is not your enemy. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is actually a signal from the deepest part of who you are, telling you that something needs your attention. The pattern is knocking. And if you ignore it here at the very beginning, it will get louder. So the first thing to do, the very first act of awareness, is to stop and simply acknowledge it. Do not fix it yet. Do not analyze it yet. Just notice it. Say to yourself, I feel this and it is trying to tell me something. That moment of honest recognition is where everything begins to shift. The restlessness lives in the body before it ever lives in the mind. It shows up as tension in your shoulders, as sleep that does not feel restful, as days that feel slightly gray even when nothing is technically wrong. Pay attention to those signals. Leo, your body is always speaking to you. And right now, it is asking you to listen. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Sign 2. The second sign that the pattern is returning is that you begin to give more than you are receiving, and you tell yourself it is fine. This is one of the most recognizable hallmarks of the Leo cycle, the slow, quiet tipping of the scales, the gradual shift where your generosity becomes a one-way street, and yet you keep walking down it because stopping feels like giving up, and giving up is not something you are built for. Leo, you are one of the most naturally generous signs there is. You give with your whole heart. You give your time, your energy, your attention, your resources, your loyalty, and you do it willingly, even joyfully, because you genuinely want the people in your life to feel your warmth. That is not a flaw. That is one of the most beautiful things about you. But the pattern begins here, in this exact place, when your generosity stops being a choice and starts being an expectation, and when you stop noticing the difference. Start slowly. You do a little more. You give a little more. You extend yourself a little further. And the person or situation on the other end accepts it, sometimes with gratitude, sometimes without. And you tell yourself that it is okay, that you do not need anything in return, that you are doing it because you want to. But somewhere underneath that, there is a Leo who is tired. A Leo who has been giving and looking, quietly, without admitting it, for something to come back. For acknowledgement. For reciprocity. For someone to say, I see how much you give, and I want to give back to you. The problem is not that you give. The problem is that when the giving becomes imbalanced, when the exchange becomes hollow, you often do not say anything. You absorb the imbalance. You rationalize it. You tell yourself that the other person is going through something, or that things will even out eventually, or that it would be selfish to bring it up. And so the cycle continues. You give more, hoping it will somehow tip the scales back. It never does, because the scales are not broken by accident, they are being held in place by your silence. When you look at where you have been in this pattern before, what do you see? Do you see versions of this same dynamic, the giving without return, the exhaustion you did not name, the eventual breaking point where something collapsed? That collapse is not a failure of your character. It is the natural end point of a cycle that was never sustainable. And it is trying to teach you something. The lesson, Leo, is about the sacred nature of reciprocity. Giving is not just about what you put out, it is about whether the flow comes back to you in some form. Not always in kind, not always in the same shape, but in some genuine way that tells you the connection is real and the relationship is nourishing you as much as you are nourishing it. When that is absent, when you notice yourself giving endlessly into a void, that is the pattern. That is the sign. And it is asking you this time to see it before you reach the breaking point. Start paying attention to the energy exchange in your most important connections right now. Not to judge, not to keep score, but to honestly assess. Where are you feeling depleted? Where are you extending yourself and feeling, in return, like you are disappearing? That awareness is not selfishness. It is survival. It is wisdom. It is the beginning of a very different choice. Sign 3. The third sign is that you start editing yourself, holding back pieces of who you really are, because you have learned somewhere along the way that being fully yourself makes certain people uncomfortable. This is one of the most painful signs for a Leo, because self-expression is not just something you enjoy. It is something you need the way other people need air. You were made to shine. You were made to take up space, to speak your truth, to let your personality fill the room. When that is flowing freely, you are the most alive version of yourself. You inspire people just by being who you are. You bring light into spaces simply by entering them. But when the pattern is cycling back around, you start to shrink. It happens gradually, so gradually that you might not even notice it at first. You soften an opinion because last time you shared it, it caused tension. You dial back your enthusiasm because someone made you feel like it was too much. You choose the quieter version of your story, the smaller version of your idea, the less visible version of yourself, and you tell yourself it is just being considerate. It is just being mature. It is just knowing when to hold back. And yes, there is wisdom in discretion. There are times and places where restraint is appropriate, and a truly evolved Leo knows the difference. But this is not that. This is something else. This is the slow erosion of your authentic self in response to an environment, or a relationship, or a dynamic that cannot hold the full force of who you are. And that is not a problem with you. That is a problem with the fit. Think about the moments recently where you stopped yourself before speaking. Think about the thoughts you kept private, the feelings you swallowed, the version of yourself you left at the door before entering a room. Ask yourself honestly, why? Was it wisdom or was it fear? Was it discernment or was it self-protection from a pattern of being made to feel like too much? Because here is what the pattern does to a Leo over time. It teaches you to doubt the very things that are most beautiful about you. It teaches you that your fire is inconvenient, that your passion is overwhelming, that your light is blinding to people who have grown comfortable in the dark. And if you listen to that long enough, if you edit yourself enough times in enough situations, you start to believe it. You start to become a smaller version of yourself. And that is the exact thing the pattern is designed to do. The sign is the editing. The sign is the hesitation before you speak. The sign is the moment you catch yourself wondering whether it is safe to be who you really are. Pay attention to those moments. They are telling you something crucial about the environment you are in and whether it is truly meant for you. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Sign 4. The fourth sign that the pattern is happening again is that your confidence starts to fluctuate in ways that feel unfamiliar and unsettling. One moment you feel strong, certain like yourself, and the next moment, without any clear trigger, you feel uncertain, second-guessing decisions you would normally make without hesitation, doubting your instincts, wondering if you are seeing things clearly or if your perception is somehow off. For a Leo, this fluctuation in self-trust is a significant warning signal. You are not, by nature, a sign that struggles with confidence. You have a natural relationship with your own strength, your own worth, your own capacity. Even in difficult times, there is usually a core of certainty inside you. A deep knowing of who you are that holds steady. When that starts to waver, when the ground inside you starts to feel uneven, something in your environment is chipping away at it. The dangerous thing about this sign is that it can be very easy to internalize. When your confidence starts to dip, the natural response is to assume that something is wrong with you, that you are going through a phase of weakness, that you need to push harder or build yourself back up somehow. But before you go looking inward for the source of the wobble, look outward. Look at the conversations you have been having. Look at the feedback you have been receiving. Look at the energy of the spaces and relationships surrounding you. Because often, a Leo's confidence does not erode from within. It is eroded by an environment that consistently undervalues, dismisses, or subtly undermines them. This is part of the pattern. You begin to receive messages, sometimes direct, sometimes so subtle they barely register, that your judgment is off, that your instincts are unreliable, that you are too emotional or too dramatic or too intense to see clearly. And because you are a Leo who genuinely wants to grow and learn, you take those messages seriously. You sit with them. You wonder if there is truth in them. And in that wondering, in that honest self-examination, the pattern finds its foothold. The key is to ask yourself not just whether the criticism might be valid, but who is delivering it and why. Growth requires honest feedback, and not all criticism is a threat. But there is a difference between feedback that helps you become more of who you truly are, and feedback that is designed, consciously or not, to make you less. One builds you up even when it challenges you. The other leaves you smaller. Your confidence fluctuation right now is telling you which kind of energy you have been absorbing. Listen to it. Sign 5. The fifth sign is a strange one because it feels almost like wisdom at first. You start to delay your own dreams, telling yourself you will get to them later, that right now you need to focus on other things, that the timing is not quite right, that you will be ready soon. And somehow soon never arrives. Leo, you are a sign that is meant to create. You are meant to build, to lead, to express, to pursue your most ambitious visions. When you are in alignment, you move toward your dreams with a kind of natural authority. Not recklessly, but with genuine forward momentum, with the faith that you are capable and that the path will open for you. That momentum is one of your greatest gifts. It inspires others. It generates energy. It makes things happen. But the pattern steals that momentum. It does it quietly, through the accumulation of small delays, through the 10,000 reasons why now is not the time, why something else needs attention first, why waiting a little longer is the responsible choice. Each individual delay seems reasonable. Taken together, they become a wall between you and the life you are supposed to be living. Ask yourself right now, what have you been putting off? What dream, what project, what version of your life has been sitting in the waiting room of your mind, patient and persistent, while you attend to everything else? How long has it been waiting? And when you imagine actually moving toward it, what feeling comes up? If that feeling is fear dressed up as practicality, that is the pattern. If that feeling is an old story about unworthiness dressed up as timing, that is the pattern telling you to wait just a little bit longer, just until conditions are perfect, which they never will be. The delay is the sign. The perpetual almost readiness is the sign. The brilliant idea that stays an idea because something always comes up, that is the pattern keeping you from the thing you were made to do. And it has worked before. Leo, it has worked on you before. Which means it is time to see it for what it is. Sign 6. The sixth sign is that certain relationships in your life begin to feel like obligations rather than connections. You show up because you feel you should, not because you genuinely want to. You go through the motions, you say the right things, you perform the role, you maintain the surface of closeness, but underneath something has changed. The warmth that used to be natural now requires effort. The ease that used to characterize these connections now feels like something you have to manufacture. This sign is important because a Leo without genuine connection is a Leo running on empty. You are a relational being. You need depth. You need authenticity. You need to feel that the people in your orbit truly see you and that you truly see them. When relationships become hollow, when they exist more as habits than as living things, it drains you in ways that are hard to articulate. You keep showing up because loyalty is important to you. But there is a difference between loyalty that honors a real bond and loyalty that is holding a ghost in place. Look at the relationships in your life right now that feel like duties. Ask yourself honestly, when did the shift happen? Was it gradual or was there a moment? Is there something unspoken between you and this person? Something that needs to be said but keeps being avoided? Because often, what turns a connection into an obligation is the weight of the unspoken, the conversation that never happened, the hurt that was never addressed, the truth that both people are circling without landing on. The pattern of avoidance in relationships, the pattern of performing closeness instead of feeling it, is a sign worth paying deep attention to. It tells you where your energy is being drained, and where your honesty is being held hostage by the desire to keep the peace. Sign 7. The seventh sign is that you begin to feel invisible, not in a dramatic, obvious way, but in a quiet background way that accumulates over time. You share something that matters to you and it gets glossed over. You put effort into something and it goes unnoticed. You express a need and it is met with distraction or deflection. And slowly, without quite realizing it, you start to share less. You start to pull back. You start to protect yourself by becoming smaller and less present. For a Leo, invisibility is one of the most disorienting experiences possible. You are made to be seen, not in an ego-driven way, but in a deeply fundamental, soul-level way. Being witnessed, being acknowledged, being met with genuine recognition. These are not luxuries for you. They are necessities. When they are consistently absent, you do not just feel lonely. You feel like you are disappearing. The sign here is the pulling back. The quieting of yourself in spaces where you used to be vibrant. The decision, unconscious at first, then more deliberate, to stop offering the fullest version of yourself to a world that does not seem to be receiving it. That pulling back is protective and it makes complete sense. But it is also a signal that the cycle is in motion, that you are once again in a context that cannot see you, and you are once again responding by making yourself harder to see. Ask yourself where you have been showing up but not being received. That is where the pattern is living right now. Sign 8. The eighth sign is that you start measuring your worth by what you produce rather than who you are. The quiet voice inside you that used to say I am enough just as I am starts to sound less convincing, and in its place comes a louder voice that says prove it, earn it, show them. So you work harder. You achieve more. You accomplish things and lay them down as offerings at the altar of your own worth, hoping that the next achievement will finally be the one that settles the question. This is the productivity trap of the pattern, and it is especially seductive for Leo because you have genuine talent and genuine drive. You can accomplish a great deal. And so when the pattern pushes you into proving mode, you can sustain it for a long time before the exhaustion catches up with you. But it always catches up. Because no amount of achievement can fill the hole left by the belief that you are only as valuable as your last success. The sign is the relentlessness, the inability to rest without feeling guilty. The way celebration of what you have done is always immediately eclipsed by anxiety about what comes next. If this sounds familiar, the pattern is here, and it is using your greatest strengths against you. Sign 9. The ninth sign is that you find yourself repeating the same conversations in your head, rehearsing what you should have said, replaying what went wrong, relitigating moments that are already in the past. The mental loop runs on its own, interrupting your present, stealing your peace, and keeping you tethered to something that has already happened and cannot be changed. This rumination is not weakness. It is the mind trying to find resolution for something that was left unresolved. But the pattern lives in the loop because the loop never actually delivers resolution. It just keeps you circling the wound without ever healing it. And while you are in the loop, you are not in your life. You are in the past fighting battles that are already over. Leo, the 10th sign requires you to look at who you have been surrounding yourself with recently. Because one of the clearest indicators that the pattern is repeating is that you find yourself once again in the presence of the same kind of energy. People who take without giving, who diminish without meaning to, who need more than they offer, who drain the room of light instead of adding to it. The specific faces are different, but the energy is the same. And part of you recognized it immediately, even if you told yourself it would be different this time. Sign 10. The 10th sign is that your creativity feels blocked or buried. The ideas are not flowing the way they should. The spark that usually generates inspiration feels muted, and when you sit down to create or express or build, you hit a wall where there used to be an open door. For a Leo, creative flow is not just a nice thing to have. It is one of your primary ways of processing the world, of understanding yourself, of communicating who you are and what you experience. When that channel closes down, when the creative energy goes quiet, it is often because something in your life is suppressing it. Stress suppresses it. Toxic dynamics suppress it. The constant performance of being okay when you are not suppresses it. The pattern suppresses it. When you notice that your creativity is absent, do not assume you have lost it. You have not. It is waiting. It always waits. But it waits in a place of safety, and if your life does not feel safe right now, emotionally, relationally, energetically, the creativity stays quiet until you create the conditions it needs. The blocked creativity is a map. It is pointing directly at where the pattern is living and what it is costing you. Think about when your creativity last felt free. Think about what was different then. Not to idealize the past, but to understand what you need, what kind of environment, what kind of relationship, what kind of inner state allows that part of you to breathe. That understanding is the beginning of the way out. Sign 11. The 11th sign, and the most important one, is that you feel a deep, persistent sense that this is not the life you are supposed to be living. Not a dramatic, crisis-level feeling, but a steady, quiet knowing that something is off course, that the version of yourself you are living right now is a smaller, dimmer, more constrained version than the one you are meant to be. Leo, that feeling is not an illusion. It is not ingratitude. It is not drama. It is the voice of your truest self, the part of you that knows exactly who you are supposed to be, and is watching with patient heartbreak as you settle for less. That voice has been trying to get your attention. And the fact that you are watching this video, that you made it all the way to this final sign, that is the voice winning. That is the part of you that refused to go completely quiet, finally finding a way through. The pattern repeats until you see it. Not just intellectually, but deeply, in the place where recognition becomes commitment to something different. You have seen all 11 signs today. You have looked honestly at where the cycle is spinning up again. And that recognition is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of a completely different one. The pattern does not define you, Leo. It never did. It is simply a loop you inherited, a groove worn deep by repetition, a familiar road that feels safer than the unfamiliar one, even when the familiar road keeps leading you somewhere you do not want to be. But you can choose differently. You have chosen differently before, in your best moments, and you can choose differently now. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are. The 11 signs were not here to frighten you. They were here to wake you up. And Leo, you are already awake. You have been awake this whole time. You just needed someone to confirm what you already knew. This is your moment of confirmation. What you do with it is entirely, beautifully, powerfully up to you.